that's early music. I'll read you some of the instruments in a minute, but so the music reminds us that there are some solemn moments in life, and then there are times when we can dance and be joyful. So the CD is entitled Courtly Dances of Western Europe. That's the back cover showing you all the different instruments, soprano recorders, the harps, and everything else that that group played. I want to read some of the credits on the CD, which tell you some of the incredible talents that Laurel had. Laurel performed on soprano shawl, that's one of those squeaky instruments, soprano, alto, and tenor Renaissance recorders, the great bass recorder, VL, violin, Celtic nylon, and wire-strung harps, guitar, and percussion with that particular group on that CD. Other credits include Laurel was the music director, one of the recording engineers, and produced the cover art based on a Taddeo Crivelli's miniature circa 1460. But let's go back to the beginning. Laurel was born in Seattle, Washington, and came home to the Eulick homestead in Kirkland and lived there for most of her life. And that's the house that Dad built. It's got those lovely picture windows on 4 acres, I guess it was at that time. Our father had built the house that he and our mother designed, and Laurel lived there until 2006. Laurel was an active and inquisitive youngster. There she is at her second Christmas, so a year and a half or so. And then she tried out the water barrel for a seesaw, and here's the water fountain, learning how to use that. And she was camping, age 2, with other families and enjoying the outside outdoors like we did. And then, oh yeah, a couple more family photos when she's 5. Her mom and dad in Darien Yard. Cute little kid, wasn't she? Okay, and then there was one trying out skis. Actually, she was always trying to keep up with her older brother and sisters, even trying to ski. Actually, skiing was new to all of us that year, so we were all trying it out. She started music at age 8 by singing in Kids Chorus Club and performing in short musicals. At the age of 9, here's her birthday, she began playing the violin, and at 11, she was ready to be part of the Eulick Trio. Must be a Christmas program, show, or photo, I should say. Also at 11 years of age, she discovered the oboe, and here are photos of 12-year-old Laurel at a summer music camp playing first the violin. Oops, oh, too fast there, wasn't it? Okay, now direction. Oh, that's her playing on the oboe at that side, and the one before it was her playing violin there. So a talented young lady. Eventually, the oboe won out as her chosen instrument. And there we are at 13 years, well, she's 13 at our Christmas card. Okay. Laurel could play almost every instrument she put her mind to, including the tenor ukulele that she learned to play during the last month of her life from her hospital. Come on in. You're welcome. Give her a program, please. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, so now, also at 11 years old, she acted on her love of horses and acquired her first horse, Sadie. Christy soon followed, and at 14 she added Al-Kamar, a half-Arabian gelding, which she trained and showed in English and Western styles of riding, and started winning ribbons at those shows. I get to look at that picture a long time, because I have other things to say. Laurel's music activities and accomplishments continued to grow through her junior and high school years. Her mom wrote Christmas letters about the family activities, and I'll read from a couple of them highlighting Laurel's musical activities. In 1974, at age 15, Laurel continues with her music activities and earns most of her horse expense money while teaching private oboe students and planning for occasional paid performances at 15.
Oh boy.
Can you hear? Louder. Okay, I'll try louder.
Good job.
You could have sat up in the front row. She was, okay, here we go. She won first in 2 solo contests this year, was promoted to the Seattle Youth Symphony in the fall. She also was invited to play with the University of Washington Symphony Orchestra for fall quarter, which she did. 2 years later, at age 17, Laurel was an excited participant in the Washington State Bicentennial Band, which performed at the Kennedy Center and at the Capitol Building in Washington, D.C. in September. I mean, even as a youngster, she was so talented. At the same time, the mid-1970s, Laurie continued to train and show Alkmaar and win awards. In 1977, the year Laurel graduated from high school, she and Alkmaar won 5 state championships in Western Pleasure, Trail, and Halter divisions, and 2 reserve championships in English Pleasure division. Alkmaar was also the High Point Half Arabian performance horse for Washington State in 1977. In 1978, 7-year-old Alkmaar finished the season by earning the coveted Legion of Merit Award given internationally to outstanding show horses. Here, Laurel and Kamar are dressed in the Arabian costume that she designed and made for herself and her horse.
Wow.
That same picture is back there. You can see it again if you'd like. Laurel, Alkmaar, and Mom and Dad traveled a lot to attend all these horse shows in Washington State, Oregon, California, Arizona, New Mexico, and North to British Columbia. Throughout the years, Laurel owned, trained, or helped train approximately 14 horses or ponies. During the 1980s, or Laurie's 20s, she continued to show Alkmaar and other horses, and she added horse art to her busy days. She painted plaster craft and ceramic figures, mostly horses, and other figurines at a ceramic shop. In 1984, Laurel was hired to paint 150 horse head trophies for a show, most of them matching the horses they were awarded to. Sorry, I don't have pictures of all of this. It's just really hard to find them. In October 1985, at age 26 in 85, Laurel realized a lifelong dream by going on a 2-week tour of horse farms and auctions in Western Germany, led by her dressage riding instructor. While there, she fell in love with a tall, black, 3-year-old Hanoverian gelding named Brandy, which she purchased and shipped home to Kirkland here. The next few years were taken up with training Brandy in dressage. It's a style of riding which I don't know, but anyway. Laurel shared the training and riding with a couple other young horsewomen, which you see here. Beautiful horse, but he was bigger and a bit tall, so she eventually sold him. Also during the 80s, music continued to be important in Laurel's life, especially teaching oboe students and playing with a variety of groups. In 1988, she was introduced to the folk harp, or Celtic harp, by me actually, and quickly mastered the instrument. In 1991, she played both the folk harp and the oboe, with me playing flute, at my wedding in Vancouver, BC. Laurel's artwork was also progressing as she started creating pieces using pencils, acrylic paints, or pastels. Here's a pencil drawing of Alkmaar. That was her favorite horse. Anyway, beautiful. And her paintings, one of her paintings of carousel horses, which you can also see. It's just about the same picture, but it looks like different colors back there. Anyway. In the 1990s, Laurel's 3rd decade, it was a continuation and expansion of her interests and abilities, especially in art and music, while training and showing horses took on a lesser role in her life. She returned to the UW to work towards an art degree, which she completed in 1992. She continued to play and teach oboe and performed with musical productions. She met Kate. This is actually a picture taken when they played a little bit later, out there in the yard here at Boulder Trails.
Yeah.
A flute player in the orchestra pit, and they formed a duo or a trio with a cellist on occasion to play for weddings and special events. So Kate said some lovely words, which I'll read later in the program. In 1993, Laurel became interested in early music and the activities of a group called the Society for Creative Anachronism. Have you heard of that group? The SCA. Basically, this group consists of people of all ages and persuasions who enjoy getting together to relive the simpler life of the Middle Ages. Not exactly as they were, but as they should have been. With this, and that's on the website, by the way. I didn't make that one up. With this group, Laurel was able to bring her music, crafts, such as leatherwork, archery, we brought her bow and arrows back there, she excelled at archery too, and costuming to full flower. That led to the production of the CD that we played, and we have some copies over here if anyone would like it. There's another photo, well, here's another, it might be the same photo of Laurel in her middle-age dress, and there's another and there's that dress back there. In 1997, at age 38, she decided to take her life in a different direction, and she enrolled in the Media Communications and Technology program at Bellevue Community College. Over the next few years, she studied computer graphics and animation, architectural 3D rendering, and scientific illustrations. I'm not sure she did very much with all of that, but she certainly had a good time. Her creative talents and abilities seem to know no bounds. There are 2 portfolios of photos of her artwork, the more traditional artwork, at the back table for your viewing. Music also found new expressions in the late 1990s and early 2000s. The early music group expanded its repertoire to include playing for the Rebels Christmas productions in Seattle and Portland, Oregon. Again, that was early music times that she was playing and performing for. In 2002, Laurel started classes in the Music for Healing and Transition program and became a certified music practitioner, or CMP. CMPs provide music at the bedside to assist patients with physical traumas, to provide a calm environment for healing, or to help them relax and let go during the dying process. Her gentle folk harp music often soothed the care workers and staff as well. Laurel continued to live in the family home and was present to ease the final years and passing of both our father and mother in 2000 and 2004 respectively. Here is a family portrait taken in 1999. You recognize all those people? Well, probably not the parents, but that's Rachel over next to me. Okay, so she was responsible for selling the family property in 2006, and this photo is her last Christmas at the house. And there's another piece of artwork there on the wall, and more trophies, and you name it. Laurel then moved to Auburn for 6 years. In 2012, though, she joined her brother Gary here at Alder Trails and became active in the community club. She served on the board, assisted with community dinners and bingo games, taught arts and crafts classes, did the occasional concert. I keep learning more about what she did here and what she presented to people. And she organized the community food distribution on Saturdays, which all shut down with COVID, of course. Laurel and her friend Kate, that I mentioned earlier, played a concert for a flute and harp music here in we couldn't remember whether it's 2017 or 2018, but sometime. So here's a short video of Laurel and Kate playing here at Alder Trails. So here are the words that Kate sent about her experience of working with Laurel. I made music with Laurel for over a decade as a flute-harp duo and a flute-oboe-cello trio. So Laurel played both instruments with Kate at times. Prior to that, we played together in musical theater pits going back to the early 1990s. We could get a great flow going in the passages of a show in which flute and oboe played together. Flow. In addition to being musical colleagues, we were friends. That is because Laurel was kind, fair, gracious, and always good to work with throughout all the ins and outs of running a musical partnership. After such a long time of working together, we never had any disputes or problems, musically or business-wise. She was also a unique, brilliant, one-of-a-kind person and a true artist in multiple disciplines. Our music business benefited from her visual art skills as well as musical skills. I was astounded when she would occasionally show me her amazing horse drawings. Her musical skill on oboe and harp was totally evident to me, but her hidden skills in other ways, including being able to pick up and play a myriad of instruments, always blew me away. I have a hard time believing that she is gone. Even though we had stopped playing together regularly, I enjoyed catching up with her in recent years. I wish I could keep knowing that I can call on her anytime I need a refresher lesson on recorder, want to borrow one of her myriad instruments, or pick her brain about developing my folk and early music sides as a classical musician, or to just catch up and shoot the breeze. I will miss her. The last job that Laurel had was to provide arts and crafts activities for children at a summer music camp on Key Peninsula at the south end of Puget Sound in 2019. This is not necessarily the camp, but it had that wonderful setting of beach and water and great fun. So besides helping the children, keeping the children busy with art projects, she assisted with the archery program there and helped to prepare meals. Her friend Haley worked at the camp, and they enjoyed the time spent together that summer. Haley couldn't make it today, but I know Haley said that Laurel was the best friend that she had recently in her life, and she will greatly miss her. Okay, our older sister, Darlene, or Dee, this was in 2017, this picture, was not able to attend today. She lives west of Portland, Oregon, but she sent her thoughts of Laurel for us to read now. The best things that I remember about my younger sister, Laurel, is how she liked me to hold her when she was about 3 and dance in our living room by the big picture windows and look out at the trees. Later, we both enjoyed experimenting with different kinds of musical instruments. When she got older, she told me how rewarding it was to play for people in hospitals and nursing homes. She mentioned that even the staff enjoyed hearing the music while they ministered. Last time we spoke, that's on the phone then, she was looking ahead to the day she could play her new tenor ukulele for shut-ins. And so that was just basically in August. Laurie seemed to have a natural-born optimism, and I will miss her. And there is also Milo, Laurel's cat, who has been missing her since she was admitted to hospital in April. He is a neutered 12-year-old gentleman who is looking for affection and a new, loving home. If you or someone you know would like to take him home, please talk to Gary. We would like him to have a nice new home. He's an active cat. He doesn't like Rachel though.
He does not. I informed him today after yesterday that I saved his life, so he should be more appreciative. But
I'm not a pet person. Gary's so busy with his 2 jobs, he really is not able to take care of a pet either. So we need to find a new home for him. And if we don't know someone, we'll go to Patty's Animal Rescue, which I found sort of online, and we'll see if she can find out for Milo. Oh, someone else. Okay, so it's time for me to take a break. Are there any thoughts or remembrances that any of you would like to share at this time? Leave it open for a few minutes and see if anything occurs to you.
Well, I just realized that the only horse that I know was named Al Kamar. I always thought it was just Kamar all this time.
You never read one of the trophies?
Nope. There's so many of them. I mean, there were trophies and ribbons and, no, I didn't. But I always thought it was just
That's
Kamar
fun.
all this time.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, there was Kumar, and there was Dylan, and there was Brandy, and there was
I
Ben. and there
actually
was-
remember Brandy too.
And
That was the
Christy,
one
and, you know, and the
after.
Kari, and, you know, you just add them up. Some were young horses,
Brandy was a really big one though, right?
raised
I think.
well, so, pardon me?
Brandy was a really big one that
Yeah, the black
after
one that
Kamar.
you showed.
I remember that.
And don't forget Mark the jumper.
Who?
Mark, the jumper, of course, she got the jumper all the fences. Don't you remember him?
No.
Oh.
Well, our pasture was not a pasture, it was, you know, open ground and treed sort of property. And we had like two electric wire fences, sort of wires holding in them with electrical current to try and keep them from jumping fences, but apparently somebody did. I don't think it was Kumar. No. Yes, Judy.
I met Laurel just shortly after I moved in, and I don't think she had been here very long either. I moved in May of 2011. And we shared a love of crafts and rubber stamping and whatever, and got to be quite friendly. And COVID did us in because we couldn't get together anymore. I don't have a car, and she used to be my wheels along the time. But she would tell me of her exploits, and I'm sitting there going, "You did what?" You know, and that too. She was a very, very talented lady, and just within the things that I knew that she could do, and there's some that I didn't know about. I knew that she was a horsewoman, but I didn't realize to what degree. And I will miss her greatly.
Thank you, Judy. Well, we received a couple other comments from people when they were notified of her death. George wrote, "I spent many wonderful evenings playing music with Laurel and friends. She was a wonderful musician and always kind and considerate." Sharon wrote, "I met Lori when we went to Thoreau, that's the elementary school, and we spent time with the same group at Finn Hill Junior High School. Who could forget her Arab dress costume?" We didn't actually find it to show you the real thing, but that's maybe okay. Probably smells like horse. And then the fellow that you saw on the archery playing, the fellow I married, and she played harp and oboe for, Colin Young. "I'm sending out my condolences to you, Gary and Rachel, as I hear of Lori's passing. She loved her horse, her art, and painting and music. Whenever I rest, I gaze up at her carousel horses. I'm so glad that I have that painting." So, yeah. Any other thoughts?
I think my most, I'm not gonna call it an annoying memory, but we were not allowed when I was younger to tear wrapping paper, which as a child was very traumatic. So to this day, we had to cut it open because Laura always wanted to save it so we could reuse it later. If it was beautiful wrapping paper, she didn't want to ruin it or anything. So as a 5-year-old, I learned how to use a knife real well by cutting every single piece of wrapping paper off.
Yeah.
So now to this day, I will I will tear open, even if I think it's beautiful. I'm just like tearing it all. And then my son, for whatever reason, doesn't do the same tearing of wrapping paper like I do. I'm not gonna call him not messy. But I will always be like, "Can you please tear your wrapping paper?" Just because I was never allowed to. But every time I tear wrapping paper, I always do, and I will always continue to think of Lori. But I will say, when KJ graduated, he graduated in 2020, so there was no high school graduation ceremony. It was a drive-through parade that we did. And Lori made the largest sign with the whole, he would totally probably embarrass him, and I can never throw it away because how can you throw that away? But it is a large poster board of everything KJ related, and it was super cool to drive through when you're trying to, you don't know, you're just driving. But we saw them from pretty far away because we could see the sign. It was very sweet that she did that. She also went to every single one of his football games his last year, regardless of how crowded or how cold or how much pouring down rain it was. And clearly she was not a sports person. It was a good opportunity for her and I to bond, because I sometimes joke I didn't come from this side of the family because I have no musical talent. I do not know how to draw or paint. I'm not artistic.
He does though.
He got all of it. I came from whatever the opposite side of that gene was is what I got.
It always skips a generation.
It fully skipped it with me. So that was fun to experience that with her, because that's what I'm passionate about. So that was nice that she was not into it at all, but she still came out and supported him.
Thank you, Rachel. I'd also like to thank Rachel for the wonderful floral designs here and helping with the food. My brother Gary, of course, went out and bought a new laptop so he could do this slideshow properly for you.
Nice job.
And Kevin Jr. Is helping with the music side because we're a little bit technically challenged and we can't do everything all at once. So we had lots of help here to put this together.
Beautiful. You did a
Any other
beautiful
idea?
job.
Yes.
It's a beautiful job you've all done. It's
Well,
lovely.
thank you. I just wish we had more photos, but we can't always be there and do all that. So I thank you for Catherine for putting the information out here at all the trails.
It's so wonderful for us to know more about her previous life, which we did not know.
No.
Yeah,
It's
good.
wonderful.
I knew more than most, but not all.
Yeah, no, it blows me away how much she accomplished in her life.
Yeah.
And she did die of congestive heart failure for over several years. She was struggling with that and other conditions that went along with that. And COVID was particularly hard on her, I think. But after a while, the heart gives up. And the doctor actually at the final hospital said, I wish we could have done more. And I said, well, you did what you could. It's congestive heart failure. You can't make a heart better at that point. So yes, we all miss her. Pardon me?
May I?
Yes.
Lori was my sister-in-law for a few years. Gary and I made this beautiful young lady right here. And I loved horses. And Lori let me help her with Alkmaar and Mark, the jumper, and some of the other horses that she had. But she had a rule. And the rule was I could not help train her blue ribbon horses unless I had my own. And I'm like, well, that is just never going to happen because equitation, which is the rider part, is not my deal. But Alkmaar was such a great horse, she put me on him at a event. And although I almost ran over the judge, I walked away with a blue ribbon in Western Pleasure, so I got to keep helping her with the horses. And that's just who at her core Lori was. Let me help you. You want to do this, let me help you. Let me teach you how to do it right. And she's very well described as well. Thank you.
I'm just waiting.